Hi everyone. Welcome to Talk with Sally. When I started this channel, every single person that I ever listened to or talked to said, you've got to stick to one topic, you've got to stick with one thing or one idea in order to be successful. And that may be the case, but as a human being and as a person, I'm a lot more diverse than that. And I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things in the world, and I'm a lot more diverse than that. So when I created the channel Talk with Sally, it was with the idea that I'm going to talk about different things and different interests. And I have a huge interest in gardening, being self-sufficient, being able to take care of yourself. I have a passion for coins. I like to figure out what coins are worth money and what things are worth what. And I was a personal trainer for 18 years, so I have a great passion for teaching people how to be healthy, how to make their choices, what things could they do differently in their life to be successful. And then random Talk with Sally, which is random topics that I'm interested in, like my family, my dog, things going on in the world. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I've hesitated on touching this topic, and intentionally I'm going live during one of my favorite live streamers he's very controversial. People either like him or hate him. But for me, he was someone who inspired me to just be me and to let my barriers down, because I've always had a fear of being myself and letting the world in to see the real me. And the real me is a really complex person. It's just not simple. But this is a topic tonight, and I did this live on purpose because I know that people who normally are watching me are not going to be here. And so they can watch it later. But this is a topic that I've put a lot of thought into this, and I've written everything down that I want to say tonight, because I don't want to get off track. I have ADD. I have for a lot of years, and I've learned to cope with it, but my mind wanders and I get stressed out and I get distracted. So I'm going to do the best I can. And I want to thank people in my life for giving me the ability to just be me. And excuse me for a minute. My earpiece picks up every single sound, and my stomach's a little upset. There's a lot of people who've helped me to come along this way, and Kari Machette is a person who's influenced me, whether she realizes it or not. Nick Ricada has influenced me, and several other people. Like, so many of his supporters and people that follow him have encouraged me to just get out and try to be me and do my thing. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And so this topic is a very difficult topic, in my opinion, because it seems like it's so polarized, and everyone wants to make it a grift. Everyone wants to make it about, oh, if I go against women, then I can make money. And women who say, well, if I side with men, then I can make money. And men, or if I just bash women and say what's wrong with them, then I can make money. And for me, this topic is not about making money. This topic is, I think it goes so much deeper than that, and it touches my heart. I don't know how to explain it, because I feel like our society has changed so much, and everyone wants to be these girls who grew up in the 2000s, so the millennials, or these girls who are just looking at the 666. I don't know, whatever that calculation is. I don't even know, because for the longest time, I went 14 years without ever watching the news, because I thought the news was a negative. It just brought me down. I knew there was evil in the world. I knew that there were bad people. I knew that people were robbing and killing and murdering and all this bad things in the world. And so I stayed away from it because I'm a positive person and I didn't want that negative energy to bring me down. And then this whole like COVID-19 thing started, and then I'm like, oh man, I gotta stay up to date, and I gotta be in the know, and I gotta know what's going on in the world. And so, of course, my dumbass. Well, I actually was following people before then. I followed a guy, Mortensen. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, but I started following him like January 23rd during the Trump trials. And I was like, oh, what is this coronavirus thing? Like, nobody was talking about it. I had no clue what it was. And so I started following this guy. Oh, Chris Mortensen. And I started following him. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. And I never really followed mainstream media other than the Trump trials. And I was just curious what was going to happen. So anyway, this is my ADD kicking in. So bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this. So that's when I started watching the news. And I had to know what the COVID numbers were. And I was so politically, I don't know if I was politically one way, because I think like there's good and bad in every person. You can either be evil, you can be bad. But there's good in every single person, and there's evil in every single person. It's the person's ability to recognize what they're capable of and their ability to temperament. I can't say the word, but to tap it down and recognize that that's a weakness of theirs, and try to take their strengths and make them thrive. If that makes any sense at all. But anyway, so I stayed away from all. I mean, that was a lot of years. 15 years, 14 years is a long time to stay away from anything. I hardly ever got on Facebook. I've never been on TikTok. I've never been on, I think I started Instagram, but I don't even think I've ever posted on it. And I do have a Twitter, but I only started it 2 weeks ago, just because I'm going to start doing videos, and I was trying to promote them and trying to share things that I feel like I can share with the world. And maybe they'll be valuable and maybe they won't. But for me, I feel like they are important. So I'll talk about them. If you want to come along and you want to listen to what I have to say, that's fine. And if you don't agree with me, you don't have to agree with me. But my message is important, and I've stayed away intentionally away from things that are political, that are close to my heart, or things that are controversial. And it's because my daughter said, Mom, please don't talk about men, boys, girls, and relationships, because I've given her lots of advice throughout her life. And I've tried to be really open about how guys think, how girls think, what I perceive guys need, and what I perceive girls need to contribute. And so I'm going to start. Tonight I was watching a show, and the person who did the show, Megan Fox, I respect her, and I think that she has some good thoughts. But I was kind of like, I don't feel like this is the whole picture. I feel like there's more to this story that people who are trying to grift or trying to make money off of a topic aren't willing to dive into. And I got to the point where I just started writing everything down. So I am going to read a lot from what I wrote down, because I feel like, sorry, itchy nose. I feel like what I have to say is valid, and you don't have to agree with me. They're just my thoughts. So the whole topic is my thoughts, the whole woman versus man thing. Because I feel like it's so much more complicated and probably so much more simple than what people are trying to make it out to be. We've lost touch with reality. We've lost touch with everything. We've become so, I've got to have this, I've got to have that, I need this, I need that. And life is so simple. When you boil it down, you need a roof over your head. You need shelter. You need love, kindness. You need a belief in a higher power. I don't care what that belief in a higher power is. If you're believe in the Satan thing, whatever. I don't care what you believe in. But having something that's divine that helps you be a better person, or that when you go through struggle in life, and if it's pretend in your head, whatever. Like I hear all the time, it's just a made up thing. If it gives you comfort, you go with you. I just don't really care. People are people, and people can be good and they can be evil. So what I've done is I put all my thoughts. I scribbled, like I was listening to the show tonight and listening to these two people talk about how women are to blame for everything that's gone wrong with everything in women right now. And maybe it's true. But my perspective is a little different. And my perspective is from my personal experience and what I've gone through. That's all I can share, is what I've gone through. And all I can share is my personal thoughts and feelings, because I can't tell you what a man thinks. I've listened to men and I've listened to their side of it, and I think I have a pretty good understanding. At the end of the day, I don't tell you my experience, female to female or female to men. These are my thoughts. But I wrote them down on a piece of paper because I didn't want to have my ADD train of thought screw up everything. So I will give you kind of a background history of who I am, so you get to know me and kind of why I do what I do. And I did this live on purpose because I didn't want to edit it. I didn't want to take out all the bad moments, the wrong angle of my face, or whatever. This is just me. I am me here with you. I am a person, a human being. I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm thoughtful, I work hard, and I want the best for our country. I want the best for our society, and things have to change, and I don't have the answer, but from my perspective, and maybe take a step back and see it from this perspective and see what your thoughts are on it, and you can add to it. This is like, oh, this is the answer, I know all the things, but this is a side of it that I don't see people talking about. I see people taking this extreme from this side or this side, and no one's taken the time to see the full perspective. At least in my opinion, I just see this negative energy, and I don't know why. It could almost bring me to tears, to be completely honest. I don't know why in our society that everything is such a negative reaction one way or the other, and there's just such a middle ground. Everyone's black or white, and it's like everyone's always just attacking everyone. So anyway, I'm going to tell you from my perspective. Oh, the breeze smells good. I've been cold all day, and I'm sitting on the deck. I have a beautiful fire behind me, and I've got my cute little, I love nature, so I've got my bushes growing. And obviously people who follow me or take the time to follow me know that I love being outside. I love nature. I love what the earth has to offer. I love what's in the moment right now. But I grew up the second youngest of 7 kids. And I'll get into some detail, and I have these notes here, so if I look down my papers, that's because I wanted to make sure I cover everything. So I grew up the second to youngest of 7 children. My dad left my mom after 19 years of marriage. My mother was beautiful, talented, smart. We grew up in a community where they taught us how to cook, clean, sew, and be a good housewife. That's what we were taught to do. And I learned from my mom to be that way. Like, I can cook, I can clean, I can make a garden, I can do all the basic things that I feel like as my role as a mother, as a wife, that those are things that I cherish, those are things that I value. But after 19 years of marriage, and I am 6 years old at this point, my mother had 7 kids under the age of 16. Excuse me. So she had 7 kids under the age of 16. That's a lot of kids. And I know that she did have 1 miscarriage in that time. So technically she had 8 children in 16 years. So every 2 years she was having a baby. My dad decided that he wanted a different life and he wanted to have more in that life. Well, back in the 80s, so that was 84. I'm old. I won't lie about it. I'm getting up there in my years, but 84, 86 was when my dad left. He was still around once in a while, but he wasn't there permanently. And I knew he was gone. And there was a rift and there was a sadness. So at that time, think about it. So I was born in 78. My dad left when I was 5, 6. They divorced when I was 8. And growing up in the state I grew up in, it was very religious. And if your parents were divorced, you were instantly this evil, you were not worthy of anything. So people didn't want to play with you. People didn't want to hang out with you because they were afraid that type of family unit was contagious. And it's very hard to grow up that way. You're just kind of shunned. And because of it, we were very poor. And because of this situation, I also grew up without a mom and a dad. So in this day and age, when I hear men or women blame one side or the other for what's going on today, it just really doesn't even anger me. It makes me sad. It feels like they're not stepping back. They're not thinking. They're thinking from either they came from a family that was perfect that never got divorced, or their family that was, I don't know how to put it into words, but in my head it all makes sense. But it seems like they're seeing this ideal picture of what life is supposed to be. Men or women are supposed to get married. They're supposed to have babies. The mom's supposed to stay home and take care of the babies, which is fine. I am content being a mom. All I've ever wanted to be since I was a kid was to be a mom and to be a good mom. And I am not perfect. I know I've had numerous failings, but I know that I've tried to communicate those failings to my kids and say, I will do better, because at the end of the day, I'm a parent, but I'm still a person. And when you're a kid, you don't realize that your parents are just people. And I think that's the hardest thing to teach your kids, that what you say can still hurt me, because at the end of the day, I am still a person, and I bleed, I hurt, I cry, I laugh, I have joy, and I have sorrow. And I know I'm going off of a tangent there, but I just feel like this is not scripted. I do have written down the message I want to get out, and I'm going to blunder because I'm new at this thing, and I've struggled with this thing. But I'm going to blah blah blah. I'm going to continue to get better because I have lots of things I want to share from a different perspective. So I was saying that I just feel like all these content creators or whatever, like I think it's like the whatever podcast I've been watching, it's like I can see both sides' perspective. I can see it from the women's perspective, and I can see it from the men's perspective. But how did we get to this point? Why are we the way we are? And why is it so divisive? Why is it so one side or the other? I can't put my finger on it, because it's not meant to be that way. Men and women are meant to be one. We're meant to be one, a unit, a partnership. We're supposed to work together, have common goals, and when we don't, we're supposed to sit down and talk about it and figure out how we can be on the same page again. So, backing up again to why I think differently, and maybe there's a different look that people are looking at, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but this is the way I see it through a female's eyes who grew up in a divorced family with a dad who was able to not have to pay child support in the 80s. Like, you could have deadbeat dads back then. They didn't go to jail. They didn't get reprimanded. If they didn't want to pay child support, they just went and got a job under the table and they made money on their own. And so that's the eyes I am coming at this through. So anyway, and hopefully I don't say so too much, because I realize I say so and anyway a lot. So I'm really working on that because I think it's annoying. So for me, as a child that grew up with divorced parents, it was, I for one, I wanted to have a family. And I didn't want to have a family that grew up without a mom and dad. Like, that to me was like number one important. I would have done anything to make my marriage work. It didn't, but I would have done just about anything to make it work. And the fact that it failed, I still tried to make up for that with my kids. Like, I tried to give them everything they wanted. And I know I failed in lots of areas, but I can't change that. All I can do every day is the best I can to give them what they need. And at the end of the day, they need shelter, food, love, kindness, belief in a higher power, and to be independently thinking by the time they're 18 years of age. Like, to me, that's my job as a parent, and make sure they have an education, and make sure they can think for themselves, that they can have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own opinions. I don't have to, I might not like them or agree with them, but they're still their own thoughts and feelings. So growing up with those type of parents, I remember being in second grade thinking, I don't want this for my family when I grow up. I want more. I want more for them. And I think with every generation and with every parent, we just want to give more to our kids. So someone grew up, my mom was born in a shack, literally a shack in Texas. So I was born in a hospital. Like, each generation wants to give more to the next family, and I think we lose such perspective on everything in this whole world, and it is so much more simpler than what we all make it out to be. But anyway, this is my ADD going off on a tangent. So I didn't want to be like my mom. I didn't want to get left after 19 years of marriage, when I was intelligent, when I was smart, when I had all of these abilities. I didn't want to be that woman. I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to be married. But from that time, I knew that I was going to go to college. No one in my family had ever gone to college. Like, half of my siblings didn't graduate high school. They have GEDs. But my goal from that young age was, I'm going to college no matter what. I'm going to college. And so I can take care of myself, so that if a man leaves me after we're married, then I can take care of myself. So that brings me to my other point that I hear a lot of is, oh, marriage is instigated by women. Well, maybe it is. But have we taken a step back and realized, why do women instigate? I'm not saying I'm right. This is purely a different perspective. Have we taken a step back and said, why is it that women instigate divorce? Most women go into marriage thinking, oh, I want to get divorced, I want to cheat on my husband, I want to this or that. I don't think any woman goes, well, maybe some do. I'm going to start speaking for myself. I never had those intentions. I wanted to be married, my forever husband, for life. I had this happy ideal. To me, marriage was sacred. I grew up believing that marriage was sacred. And my dad leaving my mom after 19 years of marriage was soul crushing. It devastated me. Even though he was a horrible person, a horrible man, and a horrible human being, he was still my dad, and I still loved him because he was my dad. And people don't understand that love can run deep like that. So I was going to go to college. So I worked really, really hard, and I got myself a scholarship so that I could go to college. And I was very proud of myself. But my goal of going to college wasn't so that I can work and have this big job and make all this money and everybody bow down to me. No, my idea of going to college was so that if anything ever happened to my husband, if he were to die in a car crash, or for heaven forbid that we did get divorced, that I could support myself. I could take care of kids. I would have had 5, 6 kids, but I was terrified of my kids having what I had. So I only had 2, one for each hand. So if I was single, I could take care of them. So let's take a little step back. So I was talking about my mom being left after 19 years of marriage. So my mother was a very strong person, and she was very bright, and she is very intelligent. So what did she do? Because she was strong, she did go out and she did get an education. But what did that mean after 19 years? I mean, she was valedictorian in high school. She had a full ride scholarship to BYU University. She went to college for 2 years and then met my dad. Okay? So what does that mean for a female? She put her life on hold. And I don't know if it was put on hold. Like, that's not the right word to say. I don't know. I didn't have this conversation with her, but I can assume that being a mother, having a family was more important to her than going to college. So I don't want to put this negative thing that's there that I don't know was there. So let's take that away. So because she was intelligent and she was beautiful, she went to work and she had to go to school, because in the 80s, women did not get paid the same as men for doing the same job, even though she was brilliant, intelligent, and smart. And maybe I'm doing this video because my mother passed when she was 64 from cancer. And I never understood her until I had my own kids. And I misunderstood so many things about her, and I felt so neglected so many times. And so I did get a chance. We did get a chance before she died to heal and to mend. And I'm grateful for that every day, because if we hadn't, I don't know if I'd be the person that I am today. I don't think I would have had forgiveness. I think that I would have just been crushed. So anyway, so when you have a mom that was married for 19 years, was a homemaker, who made breakfast for everybody, made lunches for everybody, sewed, cooked, cleaned, and whatever, and she has to go in the workforce, what does she have to do? She has to go. So she's getting an education. She's working full time. You have 7 kids and you're not getting child support. So now you have to work on the weekends. So you're leaving at 7 in the morning. Your kids are going off to school all by themselves. After work, you're going to school, and maybe you're having a third job and get home at midnight. Like, I remember my mom being gone from 7 to midnight. I remember she'd get home from work and pack us in the car, and some of the older kids, like my older sister, eventually got married and moved away. Some of my other siblings would go between my dad's house and my mom's house, but that's a whole complicated mess there. But she'd pack us in the car at midnight, and we'd run to Del Taco. People ask me, why is Del Taco your favorite place? And maybe it's more of the memories of my mom, that we didn't have a lot of money, and Del Taco was cheap, but there was protein. We got bean burritos, we got strawberry milkshakes, and we were golden. So anyway, that was a tangent. But she did the best she could. And when I was going through that, I didn't understand that, because all I knew is I didn't have a mom, I didn't have a dad. I had 4 older brothers, an older sister, and a younger sister. I didn't understand. Like, I was very resentful at a very young age. 3rd grade, I was the very youngest person. I had a paper route. I delivered papers so that I could have money. And I don't know what I used that money for, to go get ice cream. I don't know. But from a young age, I had goals, and I had ambitions, and I had dreams. And once again, I'm off a tangent. But I want you to know a little bit about me, so that when I talk about this, you understand that what I'm saying this is from my perspective. This is not from any creator who is trying to make it be one way or another. And so I'm going to get back to reading here. So after 19 years of marriage, my dad is off doing whatever. He has new wife. I have new stepbrother, new stepkids. A couple years later, a new stepmother, After the first one, I didn't try to even really get to know the other ones. It was like, what's the point, right? What's the point after that? But his idea of child support was bringing 6 packs of ramen noodles to the house that were at the Macy's case lot sale, and a freezer full of bean and cheese burritos. To this day, I actually like ramen now, but I probably went 15 years before I could even choke down ramen noodles, because that's all we ate. We ate ramen noodles and bean burritos for a month straight, because my mom called my dad finally and said, I can't afford food. I really need you to give money. And he thought that she was going to go spend that money on herself. And so, by damn, he wasn't going to give that money to her, because she didn't deserve that money. She just had 7 kids and stayed home and raised us all, but she didn't deserve that money. Screw her. And that's what, for me, that's what I saw. I saw this man who was my dad, who refused to take care of us. He refused. Like, it was like, despite his ex-wife, and I don't know much, and I only know what I saw, but I never saw her be a bad person. She was a good mom. She worked very hard, and she tried really hard, and I was so, I sometimes get mad at myself because I was so angry at her, because I felt so in love because she wasn't there. And so everything I see is from those eyes right there. So as a mother, and as a person, I said, I will never ever put my kids through what I went through. So from that young age of, I remember second grade, I determined I was going to college. And I don't know if it was because I went to BYU meet when I was at that young age, and I watched people run hurdles and throw javelin. I'm like, one day I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it at this college, and it's going to be so cool. And it just, like, from a young age, it was just like a dream of mine, and I made it come true. But that's not my point. So from that young age, I always knew that I wouldn't be like my mom. And it wasn't because she was a bad mom. I just said, I'm never going to be a pushover. I'm never going to be that mom that has to work night from dusk till dawn and still try to do a garden, still try to maintain a house, try to do laundry for 6 kids that are still living at home. That's a lot of freaking laundry. And I remember as a kid, I would do a lot of the laundry. I would just do it because she was behind on it, and I just wanted to make her day. So I would mop her wood floors, and I would do things to help her out. But anyway, another tangent, ADD moment here. This is why I wrote this down to put it into notes. So I just made sure that I would never be this person, and that I would never do this to myself. Then in return, so I did all those things. I went to college. I worked hard. I got an education. Not because I wanted to be this person that did not have a family. It was because I didn't want to be that person that if I got divorced, that I couldn't take care of my family. And this is where I think a lot of women have failed. And I think this is where the different generation turns. So my daughter was born in 2002. So she's 20. So she's part of that age that watches TikTok, that's on Instagram, that watches all these different things and Twitters and whatever. Like, I can't even navigate Twitter. I try, like, whatever. I'll learn one of these days. I finally learned how to upload a video, and apparently I can't figure out how to set my camera right to have it stream and not 19 by 6, whatever. There's a setting I did wrong. 2 streams today, fail. But that's okay. I'm learning. But this is where I think I went wrong. So I grew up thinking that I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have an education so that I could make sure that I could take care of my kids and I would be okay. So in doing so, my kids saw me working hard. They saw me have an education. And I taught them that education was important. I taught them that college was important. And boy, has my mind changed. And thank the Lord that my kids have listened to me enough to realize that they don't have to go to college. I don't want them they can, until they find their way and they know what they're doing, they don't have to go into debt and do their things. So that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. But I've always taught my kids that education were important. I've always taught my daughter, you never ever, you got to have an education. You got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure that, you know, if you're alone or you get left by your husband, that you take care of yourself. But in the process, what I failed to teach her is that that's a backup plan. That's not your main plan. Your main plan is to have that there so you're well-rounded, you're educated, you're smart, you have options, and you can grab the world, can I say this word on YouTube, by the balls. You can grab the world by the balls, like you can go and do whatever you want. But what I failed to teach her is that in this process, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to find a man. You're supposed to have children. You're not supposed to, but you can't let a man take care of you. A lot of women have been taught, like, a man's never going to take care of me. He's just going to leave me, so I'm just going to do it all on my own. No, that's the backup plan. That's your backup plan. The goal is family. The goal is the forever man. Like, you can be picky and make sure he's going to treat you well and that he has good morals. But looks, this whole thing, like, I have felt my first marriage, and I'm not knocking on my first husband, because he is a great dad. We just weren't compatible. And I tried to be compatible, and we weren't. So I'm not knocking on him. But he was very handsome. And the women really, really liked him. And we weren't compatible in a lot of ways. But he is a good person. And he is a good dad to my kids. And he's always taking care of all their needs. And that's all I've ever wanted from him. So, this is not a knock on him. And I just totally got off track. So let me read my notes to make sure I'm staying on base. So, I guess my process, I fell prey to that. Like, I'm going to be that girl that's going to tame that handsome guy. I'm going to be the girl that's going to make him be, like, faithful, and he's going to be everything that I ever wanted to be. Like I'm a good person. I can fix this person. And that's where we all fail. We're all going to get ugly. We're all eventually going to get fat and lose our vision. Like, I lost mine overnight, I swear to God. Apologize for those. I don't need to cuss the Lord's name in vain. But we're at the end of the day, we're all just going to be old, wrinkly old people. Like, I remember the joke was something like this, is like, why is it that two old people could have sex with each other? And it's because they can't see, or I can't remember. The joke is funnier. I can't even tell the joke because I'm too distracted. But it's because they can still be intimate and they can still have compassion, because by the end of the day, they have love and they can't see each other. It was just kind of funny, but it's not funny anymore because I didn't tell it funny. And the thing is, the one thing I've tried to teach my daughter, and I would have to have this conversation with her, but, you know, after heartbreak, after all types of things, you have to remind yourself, and you have to teach your kids, and you have to teach your sons, not all men and not all women are bad. It doesn't matter what they look like. Like, I would much rather... I mean, I don't know. I can't, this is hard to say this because I'm not trying to offend or minimize or anything like that. But at the end of the day, looks is nice. But love, kindness, work ethic, love, you're pretty much having a common goal. Like, you have common goals. What are your goals in life? What are you reaching for? Those things are so much more important. Like, the other things are going to come and go in life, and there's going to be struggles. There's going to be times where you're going to be dirt poor. Like, I know that me and my guy we've had lots of struggles. We've had struggles. We've had months where we have struggled tons. And at the end of the day, I know he's going to do his best to take care of me, and I'm going to do my best to keep to pick up the slack. Like, that's all you can do. But I'm getting completely off topic. But remember that men and women, we're not all bad. Yes, there are bad men and there are bad women. There's men who are womanizers, and there's women that are hoes. But that's not the majority. I think that the internet and the world takes this select few of people who are so shallow that men and women, I'm not talking about one or the other, and this is all from my perspective. This is all from my thoughts and my feelings. But I feel like there's bad people, and when people are trying to grift and people are trying to make money, they're putting all this extreme badness of each of them and them pitting one another against each other. And to me, it's like I can't even listen to it anymore. Like the first time I watched the whatever podcast, I thought it was hysterical. Like I'm like, are these people really for real? And then I'm like, I watched another one. I'm like, it's the same thing. Their whole thing is to have these two opposing sexes in a room fighting each other and battling each other. Like that's the whole grift, is to get people to fight. Why is fighting the goal? Like I don't get it. There's so much love to be had in the world. Like why are we trying to pit each other against each other? Anyway, so I think where, in my opinion, society has failed is we have gotten away from what family is. And I'm not saying that the woman has to stay home. Maybe the woman is the breadwinner and the man is the one that stays home. Doesn't mean he's cucked. Doesn't mean he's a loser. It just means that you two came to agreement that says, for whatever reason, you as a female can make more money and can provide more for my family. So, as a male, I don't want to do these things of cooking and cleaning, but I will do this because you're able to provide more. But that's a mutual understanding. It's not a resentful thing. It's not a jealousy thing. It's a common goal. And I think we've come away from families having common goals and working together. So a man works out of the home. He's a breadwinner. He's a provider. He can do all these things. A woman, take care of the house. But it's a mutually agreed upon thing. And when we go into these marriages, these relationships, these partnerships, we lose the whole partnership thing. Partnership means you guys agree upon what your rules are. So you work from this hour to this hour, and I'm going to do this and this during the day, and I'm going to do whatever I can to do these things. And then, you get your hour of decompression, I get my hour of decompression, and then let's figure out the rest of our roles. But the thing is communication and the partnership. And not this blame game of, oh, it's all the women's fault. Oh, it's all the man's fault. Like, that's old. It's both of them's fault. It's men who, in their college days, try to get every pretty girl they could and get their notch on their belt. And then every pretty girl fell for it. And the handsome guy said, I just got you. I'm done with you. And this pretty girl gets resentful and bitter, and then every other guy for I don't know how long she screws over, and this guy vice versa. This girl says, I'm gonna try to go with this guy. He falls for it, and then he says screw you, and goes and gets revenge on every other girl. And I feel like we're in a revenge society. I feel like the women are getting revenge on every guy that ever hurt them, and all the men are getting revenge on all the other girls that hurt them. And at the end of the day, it's all that people are fallible. People make mistakes. People can be assholes. But people are not all good, and they're not all bad. There's both things exist within one person. And if we don't learn to forgive, if we don't learn to have understanding, and we don't try to see things from a different perspective, I feel like we are going to continue to go down this spiral of hell until we no longer have families. We no longer have kids. We no longer have any common goal anywhere in society. And I'm way off topic, and I did not write any of this stuff down. And this is why I went live, so that I couldn't edit it. So these are my thoughts and these are my feelings, and I will stand by them. This is how I feel in my heart. So I think, so before I got off on my tangent, here's what I said. I think that me as a person, and I'm not just saying just me, but we forget to teach our kids the basics, the forgiveness, don't make assumptions, don't judge, be impeccable with your word, which means to be true to your word. Be honest with other people, be honest with yourself, and every single day of your life, try to be the best person that you can be in your life. Like, just try to be a good person. Like, some days you're gonna suck. Some days you're gonna get 2 hours of sleep and you're gonna be an awful person tomorrow. But all you can do every single day is to not make assumptions, don't take things personally, be impeccable with your word, and try the best you can every single day to be all of those things. And we're gonna fail. So I think I'm almost done with all my pages. I think I got a page and a half left, so I'll try to make this kind of quick. A lot of things I feel like we're missing. I don't feel like I'm missing these things because I feel like I'm these things. And as I see society and I see people trying to tear each other down, these are the things I see people missing: is love, kindness, forgiveness. And I think the hardest one, and this is the hardest one that I've had to learn, is unconditional love. Like, people are like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But what does unconditional love means? Loving without conditions. So when my kids screw up, I love them unconditionally. No matter what they do in this world, I am going to love them unconditionally. It's easy as a mom to love my kids unconditionally. It's harder to love your partner unconditionally. It's like, I only love you if you scrub the toilet. I only love you if dinner's made at this time. I only love you if you make this much money. No. Love unconditionally. I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what your failings. And I think that loving unconditionally outside of your children is the most difficult thing, and it's something that I work really hard to do. And making this stream, I knew at the very end of this, when I took my notes, I don't have the answers. I don't have this, like, oh, this is what we gotta do. I'm not here to give you advice. I'm here to tell you my perspective from a female that's been through some stuff in my life. I've been through some things in my life. Like, I have a different perspective. I've seen the college frat boys. I was one of the guys in college. I know how they treated girls. So I can see why girls are punishing the guys. And I've seen those pretty girls in college that did the same to the guys. And I can see why the guys are punishing the girls. But I don't feel like that's going to get, I don't feel like that's getting us anywhere. I think there needs to be some understanding that we need to take a step back. We need to breathe. We need to love each other. We need to show kindness to our neighbors. Like, I have the coolest neighbor. Like, this Sunday, I was sitting outside with a mariachi band because the neighbor boy had his first communion. And I was like, that was cool. He's all dressed in white. They're all singing, dancing, partying. They got barbecue for the whole street. And my 85-year-old neighbor, we're out there taking care of our yard. But community's gone too. And it's not just the family unit that's messed up. It's that belief in community. And when the shit hits the fan in the world, if you don't have a community, you don't have a support system that you can rely on, we're screwed. Because I know I can survive. I know that I'm going to be okay. I have what I need. I have my food storage. I know how to garden. I know how to work hard. My kids know how to work hard. And I have taught them that. My kids work really hard. And I'm proud of my kids. My kids are amazing people. They're amazing human beings. And when I say that I haven't taught my kids these things, they're maybe they do know these things, but there are things that I feel like I haven't sat down and verbalized and communicated these things. And maybe I've taught them in other ways. I hope I have, but I don't feel like I have. So those are assumptions on my part. Let's see here. So I'll end this by saying relationships take two. They are a partnership. Agreed upon values. And when I say agreed upon values, when you meet someone, find someone that has your same value system. If you don't have the same value system to start out, it's a very long, rocky road ahead. You have to have the same values. You have to both believe in family. You have to both believe in whatever you believe in. You have to be on the same page. Maybe kids isn't your thing in your future. Maybe you both are going to work and you both agree upon it, but they're agreed upon values, and you can hold each other accountable for that. That's up to you guys. But don't go out looking for someone and trying to change them, men and women. Women can't change men, men can't change women. They are who they are at the core. You are who you are at the core of your heart. And that's not, the only way that changes is if the person who is struggling with whatever issue recognizes there's a problem, wants to change that problem, wants to fix that problem, and goes through the steps to fix it or to remedy it. That's the only way it'll change. An external force, I don't care if you're a therapist, I don't care if you're God, I don't care if you're whatever. Someone from the outside is not going to change that person unless that person wants to change. So don't go out and find people with the expectation that you're going to fix them. Everyone needs to take a step back and ask, what role did I play? Whether it be a college girlfriend, whether it be a high school bully, male, female, I don't care who you are. Ask yourself, when something has failed, what role did I play in this situation? Because I guarantee that in any situation it takes two. So the hardest question is to ask yourself, what did I do and what could I have done different? Hopefully you can fix those things while you're still in the relationship, but maybe you can't. But maybe going forward you can work on yourself before getting into another relationship. And I think my last opinion and my last thoughts of what I've seen is, I think that everything is such an instant gratification. It feels like everything is an instant gratification, like everything is right now. I want to leave right now. I want X right now. And it's like this whole, I want my new iPhone or my new whatever right now. I want my new cover to my new phone tomorrow. And you know what? I get those things. We get instant rewards, and the society of credit cards of like, well, I can just put on my credit card and hopefully it'll be there tomorrow, and hopefully like whatever, I'll figure out later. No, start saving, start planning, live within your means. Men, remember that you have value. You're worth something, and remember that not all women are horrible. When they talk about these women who have been ran through and that they've just had so many partners or this and that, they're not talking about every woman. They're not talking about everybody. And women, don't be going out and looking for these perfect, I don't even know, this is how dumb I am and lame I am. I don't even know the whole number thing. I don't know if it's 666, 10, 10, 10, or if it's 10, 6, 3, I can't remember. But that perfect person, there's a balance, and those numbers, they're not realistic. And I would tell you what, I would never, ever, ever date a man that spent more than an hour and a half at the gym a day. I think they're selfish. I will say that out loud to the world. I've said it to many clients in my life. Anybody who spends, especially if you have a family or a girlfriend or whatever, if you spend more than an hour and a half at the gym, you're selfish, because you don't need more than that to look a certain way. You're just being there to socialize or whatever. You're selfish. So men and women, don't be listening to all these creators out there that say you're worthless. Women, you're not worthless. Women, you're not pieces of shit. You're not hoes, you're not whores, you're not any of these things that people say. Both men and women, be the people that someone would love. If you were to look in the mirror and you were looking for the partner, be the person that you want your partner to mimic. I'm not a therapist. I'm not no professional. I'm not giving. These are my things from my perspective and from my heart. And trust me, If I didn't feel passionate enough about this, I wouldn't have done a live stream, and I wouldn't have done it during Nick Ricada's show because I knew nobody would show up to watch me. But at least the message would be out there, and someone will hear it, and maybe it will add value to someone's life. And I hope that people will just realize to look at yourself and think, hell yeah, I'm awesome. Hell yeah, I am a good person. Hell yeah, someone is gonna wanna like be with me. Men, women, realize your value. Be the person that you would be. That I'm trying to say this. And my ADD. This isn't written down, so my ADD brain's getting up with me. Be the person that who you're wanting for a partner would like or desire. Become that person. And work on being that person. Don't go out looking for a relationship. Don't go out trying to find this whatever. Go be that person. Go do acts of service. Go volunteer in the kitchen. Go to the gym. Go for walks at the park. Go to dog parks. I'll tell you what, there's girls at dog parks. And there's guys at dog parks. Anyway, I'm just kidding. That was my joke. But just be you. Be a good person. Be loving, and be the person that you want to see in others. Thank you for the 2 people that came and watched me tonight. I didn't read their messages because I was trying to stay on message, but I appreciate you, and I did see them, and I could see you on my phone, but I did this for the people here, and I appreciate you. And thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Wolverine. Not Wolverine. I don't know how to pronounce that. Wolvenar. But thank you. And I have known you were here, but I was trying not to let myself get nervous. So, all right, I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll probably I don't know what I'll do tomorrow, but tomorrow's a new day. But be amazing people. Be you. Tomorrow go out and make someone's day. Go say hi to some random person at the grocery store. Just say hi. Ask how their day was. Smile. Keep your head up. Look at their eyes, not at the ground. Don't avoid everyone. All right. Peace out, guys. Love y'all.